Hello, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Everybody, hope you're all safe, sound, and healthy. And for all my chuckles and giggles, I've actually had a very terrible day. And I don't know if you can hear this, but it's quite pouring and raging outside, which is a manifestation of my inner mood, my soul, and my mind that has been screaming for a whole day, actually more than a day. But the skies decided to, match my mood today, all day, and now all night. Maybe this is God expressing his solidarity with me, although I highly doubt it because at the moment I'm extremely peed off at God himself, the source of my depression. But anywho, let's officially begin. Although this is Ramzan and today is because it's now after midnight, so that means today will be the third day of fasting. Today is the 25th. Yeah, today is Saturday, the 25th of March, 2023, and it is 12:59 a.m., which makes it officially the third day of fasting. And I don't know. I think I'm going to sound very negative in this episode. So, for those of you who want to be all cheerful and cliche and whimsical, you can stay away from this episode because I might end up raging like a maniac. Although I will try to control myself. Um, I think I'm finding it very hard that Ramzan to me is no longer the same sacred month that it used to be. The vibes no longer exist. The environment is not the same. Although I might say this year maybe people have toned down. People have realized that the past 2 to 3 years were the shittiest ever, in which there was complete, in my opinion, disrespect for the month, in the sense that it just didn't feel like it. It just not the Ramzan always brought with it these vibes. And I haven't been feeling it for the past 2 to 3 years. This year seems better. It is better, but the thing that is really, really peeing me off is when people come with their complacent, nonchalant, hypocritical quotes. All those with a good heart, be patient, and you will get your reward. You know, I mean, what the heck? You're talking to people who are right now in pain and in agony, and you're bullshitting them. Sorry to say, but this is complete bullshit. These are people who have gone through life uh, hoping at every turn that now it will pass, and it doesn't pass, it never passes. And before you know it, 30, 40, 50 years have passed, but you're still there, and there's no change. And you have already gone beyond depression and despair. And you get to read these stupid, nonsensical, bullshit, cliche quotes that the people who are actually posting have no freaking clue about. You know, I personally think anybody who has had any real experience of real pain in life would not throw these stupid quotes around nonsensically like that. You know, they would know what real pain is and they would address real pain as what it is. They would address the darkness, the dark truth behind depression, okay, behind the toxicity of our society today, behind toxic relationships, and how it is, in fact, not easy to get out of them, not in societies like ours, where the whole society is toxic, where so much is already going on, and life for the common man has become so tedious that he doesn't have time to listen to your bullshit, you know. And since Ramzan began 2 days ago, people are just bombarding, social media with these stupid, nonsensical quotes that make no sense whatsoever. You know, I don't know who you think you're trying to calm, yourself or the others, because it's not doing it for me. At least it's not doing it for me. It's just paying me off. I mean, it's like the minute I'm trying to switch off the anger and the rage in my mind, you're like pressing my buttons by making me see these crap cliche messages and posts that really just rises the bile in me all the more. I mean, what do you mean good things come to those who do good? It doesn't. Okay, let's be real here. The reason why we're struggling every time, and the reason why we have struggled more and more during Ramzan, and the reason why we have this particular month every year is because even God is aware of the fact that we do not practice being good people throughout the year. So, this is the month where we are forced to try to be good people because these are the rules. Otherwise, your fast breaks. So you swear at somebody, your fast is broken. You backbite, your fast is broken. You lie, your fast is broken. You steal, you gamble, you have public display of affection, whatever. You get intimate, you're physical, you're aggressive, you're angry, you're shouting, you're yelling, you're anything that you do of the sort that can hurt somebody or that can manifest your selfishness or that can just show your inconsideration towards humanity in general nullifies your fasting. What does it mean? It means that you have to cleanse your mind and your soul and your body, all of it. And what do people do? They're not changing these past few years. The reason why I also said that these past few years it just didn't do it for me, it didn't happen, was people suddenly just disregarded everything and they suddenly thought of fasting as just a physical act of not eating. You know what? You can keep that to yourself. God doesn't need that in the first place. And yes, I'm peed off at God as well too, because I find that extremely hypocritical on his part too, that he knows that people are not good people. And it doesn't matter how many years you try to recycle them through Ramzan, they'll come out the same. They don't change. The change is not permanent, right? Now, that is the change that you can say is not permanent. But when you say nothing bad lasts forever, that's where you're wrong, because actually we are living proof that a bad situation can last forever. Palestine is living proof of it. Kashmir is living proof of it. Okay? Their bad times have lasted for decades. Okay? 70 years at least. It's never ending. That time hasn't passed for them. Don't go around telling them good times come and bad times pass, because it hasn't passed. Okay? And similarly, more and more people are being dragged down in life in such a place where no matter how much they struggle, no matter how hard they work, they cannot get out. So stop bullshitting them, okay? Part of being a good Muslim is acknowledging the dark truths of life. And even the Prophet said, you shouldn't just ramble in front of people. You should understand what another person is going through before you open your damn mouths in the first place. Okay? So, yeah, everybody out there is always, just barking nonstop on social media, using cliches that they even have no clue themselves about. Real life is different. Okay? Your cliches don't apply. Right? They don't. Our world has changed now to such an extent. Our society has been corrupted and desecrated and disseminated to such an extent that it all does not apply anymore. Good things do not come to good people. In fact, here's one cliche that you should well remember and you can quote all the time, and you will have 100% agreement. And that is, no good deed goes unpunished. That is a cliche that everybody will agree with. And it won't be a cliche. Because this is something that every good person in this world today has experienced, and they will tell you. And here's another thing. There is something that, I always used to say it, or should I say, this is something that I had confirmed years ago. And this is something that a student of mine also told me, that a doctor told her years ago as well. And that time she found it very hard to believe, but now she actually believes it because she has now seen it, she has experienced it. And that doctor said 90 to 95% of our people are psycho cases. They have a mental problem. And that is exactly what I also believe in. And that is what any and everybody here will secretly believe it, even if they don't have the guts to say it out loud. Okay, we were so busy talking about mental health but that's not what we're talking about right now. No, that's not that. This is people who are psychotic. Okay, they are narcissist, they are selfish, they think so much about themselves. They have superiority complexes as well as inferiority complexes, and they have so much malice in them, so much envy in them. They're so busy looking at others that they don't want to work to make their lives better, but they would take extreme and active, very, very proactive steps to destroy others' lives or something in others' lives. Instead of spending that energy on themselves, they would spend all that energy on ruining somebody else or messing somebody else's stuff up. So that is the kind of sickness we're talking about when we say 90 to 95%. But I would actually increase it. I would say it's 99% of our people have a problem up there. And out of them, you could say 60% have that problem and 40% are victims of those 60%. And so they've ended up having problems. So yeah, that's basically my breakdown of it all. Okay, we are in a toxic society filled with toxic people who are filled with so much envy and greed and so much negativity that they have made victims out of good people to such an extent that the good people are now abandoning being good in two ways. They will either exit stage left, right out of this world, or they'll just drop everything and they will come with real malice to show the perps what malice really means. So victims are becoming the perps because there is no justice. Crime will always exist in a society where there is no justice, and crime will beget crime. And it is not the victim's fault, it is the society's fault that turned a blind eye to that victim, but tries to snub the victim when the victim wants to stand up for himself. This is something that I have talked about many times in various ways, and I've written about as well in different ways. And this is the fact. This is again another fact, a tangible fact that nobody can disagree with. Okay? So instead of the law always remembering to maintain law and order when the victim finally stands up for himself, the law should prevent that by meting out justice. And if there is no justice in this world, then there will be no mercy in the next world. That is also something that you need to consider as you practice being a good Muslim this month, okay? As you sit and meditate and pray and read the Quran, try to understand the subtle message here, which is actually not subtle in my book, okay? And that is, if justice fails in this world, mercy will ultimately fail in the next world. Because if, for example, I would say that if I am bearing all the bullshit that I am forced to bear in this world, it has to give me something in return in the next world. Otherwise, why am I bearing all this shit? Why am I going through all of this? What for? If not to exact justice. So, if you're thinking that Islam is all about mercy and people should forgive everybody and it's all going to be a big bag of roses, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. In Islam, justice comes first, as I keep reminding people, mercy second. When there's no justice, there will be no mercy. Okay? If there is no justice to my tolerating all that I've tolerated, then I have done it for nothing. And that would make the whole foundation of any religion a sham. So you need to understand that, and you need to work this out in your brain, because this is essential. This is essential to our faith, which we like to talk so much about. Oh, have faith. Oh, have faith. Have faith in what? Do you even know what we need to have faith in? Because, again, in this world, there is no faith. No promises that were made have been fulfilled. No prayers, no wishes, no dreams come true. This is the real world we're talking about. Okay, we're not talking about those people who use shortcuts and connections to get where they are and then talk about faith and about luck and about hard work. We're not talking about those people. Okay, we're talking about regular people who have no support, whose own families drag them down in the name of rights and responsibilities and society and culture. We're talking about those, okay? We're talking about those who, just because of their gender or because of their religion or because of who or what they are, get discriminated against. Or even if they're not being discriminated against consciously, unconsciously they are. For example, if you're a female, let's face it, no matter how much we try to deny it, at the end of the day, a female can never reach the full potential that she has, mainly because of her family. You cannot even blame society for that, because your family is the first step of your downfall. That is the first crucial ladder that you fall off. That's your family. They are the ones that will always drag you down first. Society comes much later. So instead of helping children explore their futures, parents in our society, and this is why we call it a toxic society or a toxic culture, parents talk about rights, their rights, and they suddenly become Buddhists, it seems. They forget they're Muslims to become Hindus and Buddhists and God knows what other different cultures they bring in and mix it all up. And, they talk about as if they own their children. In Islam, it's not even allowed. In Islam, a parent's first and foremost responsibility is to make sure to enable their children to be independent so that they are ready for the future. Even Hazrat Ali said it, don't teach your children about your times. Don't talk to them about your times. They're born for future times. They're not born for your time. You were born for your time. They're born for the time ahead. The Prophet has said it. Hazrat Umar has talked about it. It's been talked about so clearly and so much, and yet our parents are doing it. They're still doing it today. They're restricting the children, they're dragging them down, they're crippling them, all in the name of family and rights. And similarly, when you post such stupid cliches about how you have the choice to make your life, this is stupid. Stop doing that. Because we all know we don't. We don't. You know, a point comes when you just don't have that choice. We all live in that myth that we have a choice, and we struggle for it, we fight for it, we fight for what is supposed to be our divine right, the right to choose. But let's face it, we don't have a choice. We can't choose. We're trapped. And who has trapped us? Our families, and then our society. So cut that bullshit out, please. Let's be real, okay? Let's be absolutely real. Let's accept the fact that we have restrictions and limitations, even though they're invisible, okay? Parents today, the modern parents, they have this unique ability of hypocrisy, where they pretend that they're all there for their children and they're supporting them and they'll let them do whatever they want. But they're the ones pulling their children down. They're the ones dragging them down. They're the ones stunting them. And then they pretend that they have had no hand in it. But they're the ones, they're the primary hand behind it. So let's please stop bullshitting people. Okay, at least not. At least during this month, let's just be honest and call a spade a spade. Okay, we have limitations, we have restrictions. Prayers don't get answered, dreams don't come true. Okay, we're struggling, and in today's world, it is getting more and more and more tedious just to even live our lives. Okay, thanks to America warmongering all over the world, and thanks to England joining hands with America and creating chaos, and thanks to them interfering in other countries. And as you can see, Pakistan right now is in turmoil because of the US and the UK. The fact that they have the gall to interfere in an independent country, in a sovereign country, a sovereign state, and the fact that we are right now going through an artificially created crisis, economic, social, and general. Okay? The fact that people right now cannot even afford food, and you're telling them that they have a choice in life, that they can choose to change the situation. Like, are you out of your freaking mind? Who the heck are you talking to? Who is your audience out there that you're posting all this rubbish to? In our society, choices are highly limited for both men and women. It doesn't even come down to gender. Don't even talk about gender here. In Pakistan, it's not even about gender. It doesn't matter who or what you are. You have no choice. And the same is with India and other countries. Okay, let's be real. Okay? We live in a society where we have no choice. We're given the illusion that we have a choice, but when the time comes, we find out we don't. And the same as with the West, okay? Yeah, so that's a big illusion, even in the West, in America, in Europe, and it's an illusion. Nobody has a choice, okay? We like to think we do, we don't. Stop bullshitting people. If you really want people to have a choice, make your society implement that. Okay, make your society workable around that. Okay, make it choice friendly. How can you tell people that they have a choice in a society that is not choice friendly? For example, what choice do I have in Pakistan right now where there are no jobs? What are my choices? Tell me. What choice do we have in Pakistan, for example, or in other countries right now, where our minimum wage is still the same? Forget minimum wage. We don't even have a minimum wage, okay? Let's just put it this way. This is a country where drivers earn more than teachers. Okay? This is a country where the pay of a driver equals the pay of an office worker, an office employee. Okay? In fact, usually the driver's pay is even higher. This is a country where every time there is inflation or every time there is a rise in prices, the maids and the drivers get increment, but the office employees, the teachers, the white collar job holders do not get a raise in their pay. What choices are you talking about? Who are you addressing when you talk about rewards of patience, about good hearts and good begets good? And who exactly are you addressing when you're talking about choices in life choices? Get a hold of yourself. Okay? Stop bullshitting people. People are too much in pain and they're going through already too much in life to listen to your bullshit. Okay? And the fact that you are so idiotic and moronic in your approach that when the other person tries to tell you that what you're saying means nothing to them and that's bullshit, then you try to act as if you are so all knowing and you know what you're talking about, and you don't know what you're talking about. That's the problem. If you knew what you were talking about, you would realize how stupid you are to post such things in the first place. Because you're not helping anybody. You're just pissing everybody off. Okay? People are right now pissed off. They have no jobs. They have no future. Education is pretty much effed up. Okay? Toxicity is everywhere, everywhere, and at every level. Okay? Living is terrible. Living standards have become terrible. Okay? There are no choices when it comes to anything really nowadays. And people who have been struggling and working hard and staying true to themselves, they have done nothing but suffer. And people who have taken shortcuts and who are dishonest and who have connections, they are on the uprise. So seriously, who the heck do you think you're talking to? In a place where hypocrisy is rampant, where people only talk about their rights but nobody fulfills their duties and responsibilities, you actually have the gall to talk to good people with good hearts? Seriously? Stop pissing everybody off. Okay? It is right now proof. This is something that we all know about our society, that good people have always suffered. They have never been rewarded. There is no reward right till the end. Majority of people have died without getting any reward. And even right now, we have a classic example of Imran Khan, who is 100% a good person. Everybody knows he's a good person, but you will still find people who will talk trash about him because he makes them feel small. See, that's how you know a good person is a good person, is that normal people who are actually not considered good or righteous in the actual realm itself, they when they see a really good person who is against all odds still trying to stay upright and trying to do their best and who are trying to live honest lives, those people feel small in front of them. And when they feel small, they don't like that feeling, and so they attack that person. And this is something that you will see that has occurred throughout history. Whenever there is a good person who is actually trying his best to stay good, to live a diligent life, to do good, to help others, a person who always puts his life on hold for somebody else, for others, that person will never stand tall in our society. That person will always be judged. And not just judged. That person will actually be attacked by people. And those people are those small people, those inferior people who feel inferior and small in front of that good person. Okay? So in our society, we do not respect good people. Okay? We don't. We don't respect good people because they make us feel small. And every time they talk about truth and discipline and diligence and what is right and what is wrong, they just make us all the more angry because they make us feel all the more smaller. And so we attack them all the more. And when they point out the darkest truths, then we go into attack mode. We have to attack them. Then we call them venomous and we tell them to spit it out. Why? Because they are calling a spade a spade. They are forcing you to see that what you're saying does not make sense because it doesn't apply in the real world. And you need to stop posting stupid stuff, thinking that you sound wise or that you're making other people feel better. You're not. You're only pushing people more towards depression because they know what you're saying doesn't apply. And you're just pissing people off. Okay? So please stop that. Just stop mindlessly advising people and stop mindlessly comforting people because you're not comforting people at all. You're just making them more miserable. Okay? So, at least in this month, refrain from pretending to be wise, refrain from this shallow, superficial hypocrisy. Okay? This attitude. Just refrain from giving people, cheery notes. Stop it. Instead, reflect on yourself, observe people more, try to understand what other people are really going through. So, things are looking up in your life. Good for you. Don't rub it in on other people's faces by telling them that they should be patient and they will be rewarded. There are people here who have died waiting for that so-called reward that never comes. So this is just bullshit. We need to understand that something that works only on a minority doesn't apply. We have to see what applies to the majority. What applies to majority is lack of choices, many restrictions, many limitations, a lot of hypocrisy, a lot of dishonesty, a lot of corruption, a lot of depression caused by not being rewarded for all the hard work, a lot of toxicity, a lot of negativity, a lot of envy, a lot of negative greed and ambition, a lot of pulling other people down, a lot of dragging other people down, okay, a lot of hopelessness and a lot of helplessness, a lot of despair, and no reward. Time is passing, the situation is only getting worse, not better. Once you've understood that, you would automatically just feel shame if even thinking about posting those superficial, complacent, nonchalant, feel good, do good messages, you will realize how they are actually the opposite of what you think they're doing to other people. They're just making people more miserable because they're only making people realize all the more that this isn't happening. Okay? People have waited for 70 bloody years. Their situation hasn't changed. And if you start by saying that God says the situation doesn't change until you change it, they have been trying to change it for 70 bloody years. Kashmir has been fighting, Palestine has been fighting 70 bloody years. Okay, they are doing it. They are actually struggling to change their situation. It isn't changing. Look at the facts first. Look at the application first. Look at the implementation first. Look at the actual possibilities. Look at actually what is going on in the world. Try to think majority and then see whatever it is that you're trying to say, does it really apply? And if it doesn't, don't post it. I hope everyone tries their best to get whatever it is that they want out of this month. I hope you get lots of peace and quiet. I know it's not easy, and although we know it will not happen, but we just hope against hope, you know. Although we know our prayers never get listened, we know that God only does what he wants to at the end of the day, regardless of our prayers. But we still pray, hoping against hope that they might be listened and that we get out of that inner turmoil, that we get peace, that we heal. But I would like to say that you're not alone in this turmoil. And you're not the only one struggling and getting nowhere. There are so many out there in the same places you are. And they all have the same experience of prayers not being answered, of hopes being dashed, of struggling with no end, of having no respite, and of having years pass unable to get out of that situation. There are so many people there. And so I would say, let's pray that the miracle that never happens should happen, and that miracle happens to you. And that you be one of those lucky few who manage to get exactly what you want, the way you want it, and that it be good for you. Ameen. All of you struggling, may you have the courage to face it and not get bogged down. And may you finally get your respite and rejoice. Ameen. Those of you in pain, may God ease your pain. Those of you in depression, I hope you find something to keep your mind off of your thoughts. Although it's difficult and it doesn't always last. But I hope you find a plausible way out. And that something cheers you up enough to release you from it. Ameen. And although we all know that God has not kept a single promise of his in this world, we all still pray and hope that He keeps them. So let us continue praying. This is why we call it blind faith. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Don't let any stupid cliche bother you. Skip it. In fact, even better, cut them off. Remove them, block them, unfriend them. Do whatever you need to get all those stupid people out of your life. Because these are people who don't know what you're going through and they're just not making any sense. A person who has experienced true pain would know that you can never easily categorize pain like that. And it's a long way ahead. And it's a long, lonely journey. So I hope you reach the end of your journey the way you like it. Take care, everybody. Have a blessed Ramzan. Have a blessed year. Blessed life. Ramzan Mubarak. Khuda Hafiz. Bye bye.